Well, Mother's Day has been celebrated, but poor Dad was left out. And there's many stories of how Father's Day started, but it was really attributed to Mrs. Bruce John Dowd of Spokane, Washington, whose father raised their family of 5 all by himself after his wife had died young. So she felt that father should be honored. But it wasn't until 1916 when people started saying, well, mothers are being honored, we should honor Dad. So President Woodrow Wilson said, let's have a day. And it was President Calvin Coolidge that suggested we have a day. But believe it or not, it wasn't until 1972, 62 years later, that Richard Nixon finally said, we're having a national holiday, the 3rd Sunday of June. Okay, now let's look at both of our parents again. What was the best lesson that you learned from your parents? Tom?
Well, my father traveled a lot, so my mother did a lot of the early bringing up. And that actually continued for quite a while. But when my father came home, he taught us how to play baseball and catch in the backyard. And my mother was the den mother for the Cub Scouts, and so she taught a lot of little things to.
So you really learned socialization from
Right.
your parents, getting along with others.
We also moved a lot, so we got to see people from different parts of the country. And
So you really had an education.
rounded us out, yeah.
Well, how about you, Julia?
I think thrift.
Oh,
They use one phrase, never spend more than you earn. And I think I really inherited that quality to really
And
be
I
a little
think-
on the thrifty side all the time, and you'll never be broke.
well, you know, on a farm you were
you had to.
self-sustaining, and when then the Depression came along,
Yeah.
so really that.
Things weren't easy.
Right,
And you
right.
follow that, believe me, you could survive.
People should remember that now. Anna Mae, what did you learn?
Well, because there were so many of us, there were 16 of us, like I said. Some born after I got married, but
Is your mother canonized?
she should be. But I think just learning how to get along with each other. You know, socialization with my brothers and I had 3 sisters, you know, that were me, Barbara, Patty, Katie, and then 4 brothers, and then my mother mixed it up. But I think we learned socialization, and I learned how to be a mother.
Oh, you had pre-training.
Yes.
Well, in a way, that is good. Okay, Roy, briefly, what did you learn from your parents?
Well, just to work hard, and because my dad worked hard, my mother worked hard at home, and make the house nice and have a nice home.
And it continues to today with your own family. Right, okay. Now, think of yourselves now. When you look into the mirror, I know they say, you know, oh my gracious, I'm my mother now. But when you look in the mirror of yourself, your personality, are you seeing your parents or are you entirely different? Anna Mae?
I think I'm entirely different.
In what way?
In the way that my mother was very old country. And everything she did like for the family. But because I was widowed young after my marriage, I had to go out and work and take care of 4 kids. And that was it. So I see myself completely different from my parents.
Interesting. Tom?
I think I'm kind of my own person. I take a little bit from my mother, a little bit from my father. The only thing is I moved so much that since I came back to Chicago about 43 years ago, it's the longest I've ever been in one spot. So.
You know, isn't that funny to say, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're your own man, in other words.
Yeah, I took a little bit from both.
And Roy?
I guess I take after my father a little bit because my mother raised us. My father just went along. And I more or less been following the same thing because my wife has more ideas on how to raise, what the kids should be doing. And she's taught the kids things and taught my daughter how to cook real good. And so that's.
And you're the easygoing guy.
Maybe I'm too easygoing.
Right, the easygoing guy with all the jokes. We get the benefit of them at the barn. Okay, what about you, Julia?
I think I took after my dad. He had naturally curly hair, real curly.
Yeah, you
and of course,
do.
mine is curly, so that's one of the traits. And I worked with him. We had no boys in the family, and somebody had to, be a Dad's right hand's helper, and that was me.
Okay, very
So,
good. And she's still doing gardening.
Yes, I am. Every day I'm in my flower beds and garden.
Well, now we've been talking about our parents. How do you want your children to remember you?
Well, I've always tried to be extremely fair. If I went out for Christmas gifts that I had to give for myself to the boys, I'd make sure that I spent the equal amount and still tried to get them each what they would like.
Right. Okay, Anna Mae?
Kind of like Tom says, I always try to be fair with my kids, except that my daughter was my last after 9 years, so we all kind of spoiled her a little bit. But I think that I would want them to remember me as being a very fair mother.
Okay, and Julia?
Well, when my daughter was, I had only one daughter, we were like two sisters, close. But now as I'm getting older, and she's getting older also, she thinks I'm a little too demanding. I've heard that often. I couldn't find what she meant by it, and I'm not asking her to explain what she means.
Oh, how about you, Roy?
Well, I think they'll just remember me as being easygoing. I mean, I helped them. I mean, when my son was playing baseball in Little League, and then my daughter, when she was in high school, was on the pom-pom squad, I'd go and watch her do that. And then my son was on the swim team, and I'd go to his meets. I could only go on the Saturday at the end of the season.
So you supported them.
Yeah, I supported them when they went
right.
anything, yes.
And that's something that really is needed. Now, it says here, I'm going to read this. It's from Poems About Families, and it says, our family is the proverbial egg that we were hatched from. Everything about who we are, both our nature and nurture, comes from our family. And often in Western society, we stray from our family and may not talk to them for years at a time. We may feel that we have nothing in common with them. We may choose to run away from our roots because they're too painful to face. Ultimately, however, our past holds the key to our future. If we do not face where we come from, we will have difficulty understanding our present and future. And I think just by coming to the barn and seeing all the mothers and dads there and the loving talk of their children, grandchildren and everything, I think we all, our past generations, are really anchored into the love of family. And please come to the barn and join the family of love there. We'd love to have you. You would enjoy being there. And thank you for watching. May God bless each and every one of you and your family. Thank you.